welcome back. I am here with Erin Gray, who is the Senior Program Director at the Boothbay YMCA. Hi, Erin.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks.
Alrighty, so we'll just dive right in and learn a little bit more about your swim story and how long you've been connected to the swimming community.
I grew up in Farmington, Maine, which is central Maine-ish. We had like a little local pool. They didn't offer swim lessons. They didn't do anything, like there was no swim teams or anything. So I actually didn't learn how to swim the right way until I was 19 years old. And I had applied to work at a summer camp, and they asked me if I wanted to be a lifeguard. And I said, sure, like, what does that entail? And they told me. And so I was able to get through a course barely with like a technical stroke. And then the following year, they offered to certify me to teach swim lessons. So I took a WSI course through the American Red Cross, and I learned how to swim in 6 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quite the class.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's cool to hear about those swim stories that start a little bit later, because it shows that anyone can really get into the sport and fall in love with it. So Fluid Mechanics has had the opportunity to offer private sessions at the Boothbay YMCA in the past, and we can see it in the background. It's a beautiful and unique complex. So what do you attribute that to?
Actually, my first year working here was 2017. I started in the summer, and John Waldman actually was here for a couple of weeks coaching. I think she was 9 to 12 years old, somewhere in that age range, for like some private lessons. And I got to shadow him. And that was a really, really cool experience. Just his way of coaching was really empowering, I feel, and very thoughtful and a lot of like psychology driven. So I really appreciated the fact that like very first thing I got to meet John Waldman. With everything here, like as you can kind of see, I'll move a little bit. I've got a lap pool behind me and I have a therapy pool in front of me, and I can move and show those later. Our facility was rebuilt, I should say, in 2011. So it's a fairly new facility, I would say, compared to a lot of the other ones around us. We also run everything through a UV filter. So our chlorine levels are a little bit different than most pools. And we just have a really stellar staff that keeps everything clean, reporting things whenever they might be damaged or need repair. We have a great facilities team that helps out with all of that. And living in the Boothbay region, we have a lot of really great donors. And whenever we need something fixed or replaced or whatever, we have those seasonal swimmers that jump right into it and help us out when we need it.
That's awesome. Yeah. So speaking of the Boothbay community, the complex is located across the street from the regional school district. So can you tell me a little more about what that gives to the families and the community?
Well, it's a little complicated right now. We've just announced our capital campaign, so we'll be renovating our main facility. And that actually makes it a little bit easier for the schools to get across the street to the Y. Right now, we just have a crosswalk, the lights flashing and stuff. You can push a button and the lights will flash. And sometimes a volunteer will be standing there as like a crosswalk, kind of crossing guard. The new plans will actually connect us a little bit better and a little safer. So I'm really excited for that. Any child who is 6th grade and older, they get a free membership supported through our annual fund. So anybody who donates to our annual fund, they're contributing to youth memberships for 6th graders and older. And then we do an after-school care program for the 5th graders and younger. Kindergarten is the youngest we take. Historically, we've been housed here at the Y in a little studio kind of deal. That was fine when we only had 10 kids in our program. We've now got 36 of them. Okay. So we actually drive our buses over to school, pick up the kids, and we take them to our summer camp offsite. And we do after school programming there. But everything else is here. Kids can walk across the street from school to go to their swim lessons, to go to their dance classes, to go to their voice lessons, gymnastics, floor hockey, whatever it is. And then it's really easy for parents to do pickup.
That is such a cool setup that you have. And it's so amazing that you're able to support these students in getting in the pool and getting active in whatever like sport or activity they want to be doing. I applaud you on that.
It's fun.
So can you tell me a little more about the Aquatic Center specifically?
As I've kind of mentioned, we've got two pools. Our Emery family pool is behind us here. It's your standard 25-yard length pool, 6 lanes. We actually are prepped for a swim meet this Saturday. So I'm sitting on bleachers in the middle right now, which usually don't live here. The capital campaign for this was in 2011. So it's not a very old facility. We run through the UV filtration, so our chlorine levels read a little differently. And so it's not a strong smell in here, which is great. If I turn us around,
yeah,
we've also got a therapy pool. And the door behind me here is a dry sauna, which is very popular amongst even non-swimmers. They like to come in and just sit in the sauna. Our lap pool runs a comfortable 81, 82 degrees. The therapy pool about 10 degrees warmer than that. We offer swim lessons. We do swim team. As I mentioned, we have a meet this weekend, water aerobics classes, stretch and balance classes for people living with arthritis or fibromyalgia. We host free second grade swim lessons. So every second grader on the peninsula, and we're expanding now into the Damascotta region. They get free swim lessons on a fundraiser that we do every year where we all jump into the ocean on New Year's Day. And typically we raise about $2,000 for that. So that covers free swim lessons for the second graders. This year we'll be doing the third graders as well because they missed out last year due to COVID.
Oh, yeah.
So we have a busy spring lined up. The school, they do rentals with us to do adaptive swimming. We have a really strong adaptive swim program here through the school, and each year 5 or 6 of the students go to the Special Olympics and they do really, really well there. And then, we have like the local hospital rents out our therapy pool for physical therapy time for patients. And we're excited to get back to a semi-normal pool schedule since COVID has really put a damper on a lot of it.
Your facility sounds so amazing. And something about myself, I am a swimmer for all my life, but I'm also an occupational therapy student.
Okay.
So hearing you talk about your wellness and balance programs and your adaptive sports and the unique opportunity that you have to have a lap pool for people to swim and get their heart rate up, but also that therapy pool is so exciting for me. And I'm sure people can hear that, and the way that you're making swimming more inclusive to people by giving them an opportunity to learn how to swim earlier in life with the second and third graders. So it's really cool to hear about.
It's a wonderful facility. It's probably one of the nicest facilities I've ever been to, let alone worked for. And then the Y in general is just so inclusive and wonderful. So it's a really good combination for sure.
I think you've touched on this a little bit, but I just want to make sure that we highlight the Boothbay YMCA's unique programs that are offered to the community. Are there any others that we should know about?
As I mentioned, the second grade swim, the adaptive swim, we've got contracts with local summer camps that come into. We certify Camps Kiev and Wavis, who are local to us here, in all of their lifeguarding, which is great. We see 40 of their staff every year, which is wonderful. Let's see. For adults, we do a lot of really cool, like active older adults. Our peninsula is for year-round folks. We definitely serve an older population. And so we focus a lot on our evidence-based health initiatives. So things like enhanced fitness for people who have, balancing issues, or the diabetes prevention program for people who are pre-diabetic or are diabetic to learn how to be healthier and, manage living with their disease. We have an amazing Tai Chi instructor for better health, and she does 2 different levels of that. We have a lot of really cool programs, and a lot of them are funded through the Y, a very, very cheap cost, if any cost at all.
Yeah. And it sounds like you care about the whole person. You really offer holistic programs. So what kind of programs are specifically available for kids and families?
Oh my goodness, the list is so long. Obviously, we have swim lessons. We do swim team. We've started incorporating some of our older swim team, like our high schoolers, our 14, 15-year-olds, to help out as swim instructor aides, to kind of get them excited to work here for the rest of their high school career. Some of them are going to be turning 15 soon, so they're going to start doing some lifeguarding stuff for us. So that's really exciting. Out of the aquatics world, man, you name it, we probably do it. We have a wonderful Y Arts program, which is, theater, dance, art. So on any given season, we've got dance recitals, we've got holiday plays, we've got glass fusion classes and silk scarf painting and all of these really cool random things that I don't think I've seen anywhere else. And then for youth sports, you know, you have like your seasonal basketball, soccer, lacrosse, pickup games for young adults. Floor hockey was new this year, which was kind of cool and pretty popular. I personally started doing a parent and me boot camp class for 5 to 10-year-olds, which is super cute and very fun. And then we do some healthy living programs as well. And we have this really cool grant that has been funding healthy eating for the community and food insecurity. So we have a walk-in cooler that kids can go in and grab snacks while they're here throughout the day. They can, you know, put stuff in a paper bag to bring home for meals if they're kind of lacking that at home too. So just all around, so much going on any given day.
You really have a lot to offer.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I went to school in Maine, so I'm familiar with the area, and I obviously know Boothbay from John. It's really, really cool to see how you're serving that community, and there's a wide range of people with different needs who live in Maine, so I think you're really making a difference in reaching all of them. Can you tell me a little bit more about the swim team specifically?
So I've only been here for 4 years, so there might be a little bit more background on this than I could offer. But since I've been here, we've had the same coach. We have one paid coach, a head coach, and then we have 2 volunteer coaches who have been doing this for, from what I can tell, since their daughter started swimming. She'll be 15 in January. So they've been volunteer coaches for 10 plus years, which is great. COVID again kind of messed things up. So the way that we're running practices looks a lot different than a typical year, you know, like assigning equipment to everybody and having set times to swim. But typically, you know, we want our older swimmers in here for the entire afternoon for their practices 5 days a week. And then the middle-aged ones 3 days a week at least, and then the younger ones 2 days. Fridays used to be a really fun practice time where the older swimmers would mentor the younger swimmers and work with them on flip turns or open turns or starts or anything like that. Of course, we had to do away with that with COVID restrictions recently, but we're very excited to bring that back. You know, we generally host 2 swim meets a year. This season, we're doing 3, I believe. And as I said, this Saturday is our first one. We're the first meet of this season, so we'll see how it goes. Last year, everything was virtual, so we haven't had an in-person meet for 2 years now. Yeah. Very excited to get to it. It's a pretty small team, but, you know, we've got a small community. So right now, I believe we have 47 swimmers enrolled. We've got a lot of 11 and 12-year-olds this year. So it's really nice to see the older ones still sticking with it instead of dropping out. Our high school team, they're not going to be practicing this year. So we're missing out on the high school experience this year. But for our team, you know, we do, if you're 6 by December 1st, you can pass a swim test, you can join the team. We do all that good stuff there. And it's just, you know, workouts, and the parents get really involved. All the new moms to swim team are like, I'm going to be a swim team mom, I guess, for the rest of my life. Like, they're really excited about it. So it's just nice to see them be able to come in person and do everything again. And the camaraderie, it's a whole different thing when you've got nobody here cheering you on. And
that mentoring program sounds so cool, because the sorts of skills that you learn as an older swimmer, and specifically with fluid mechanics, they teach you to be the swimming expert, and then you share that knowledge with others. So that's really cool that you have older swimmers in that mentoring position.
Yeah, fun. It's super cute too to watch it. It's very heartwarming.
Yeah. Why do you feel that your programs and facility are so vital to the community?
For people who have never been to Boothbay, it's a very small community. We are a peninsula. It can be hard for families. It can be hard for older people who don't drive. And the Y is kind of like the hub of Boothbay, I would say. Like, most things happen here. There are, you know, like there's a community center down the street, other things to do, but the Y it's the biggest place to go. It offers the most things. We see most kids here on a daily basis. We have tons of kids in our Montessori school. We have tons of kids in our childcare programs. We have tons of kids in our after school programs. I think if the Y wasn't here, it would be a very different community, and it would be severely lacking. And I honestly think it wouldn't be as safe, because we're surrounded by water on 3 sides. It's very important for the swimming component that kids get in here and they learn to be safe in and around the water, and which is why the second grade swim program exists for families who might not be able to afford to do swim lessons or make it to their swim lessons on a Saturday. It's just a way for us to really ensure that they're still getting that safety component at no cost and no worrying on the family's part either. I honestly think that with the programs and the funding and the grants and everything that come through the Y, from the Y, and from the people who either live here or visit here, it's like its own world, quite frankly. Like, it's just so nice. It's almost like coffee time in the morning as a program as well. Like, people will just sit around the coffee cart and just talk for an hour or two. And maybe that's the only socialization they're going to have for the day. And that's what they need to feel like they belong to the community. And they can get that here at the Y. And I think that that's really important. And honestly, the people who work here are just wonderful people. Like, they're here for the cause. They're here for the people. They're here for the community, for their programs. And it really shows. I can hear everything from my office, and it's just nice to hear somebody be excited to see someone who was gone for the summer or who was gone for the winter, and they're back to visit for the holidays. And everybody knows everybody, and it's great.
Yeah, and I hear that excitement in your voice too.
Yeah.
Is there something that you think makes the Boothbay YMCA so successful at what it does?
Again, I think I'm going to go to the staff and the people who support us, not only fiscally, but just in general, like the people who show up to help out with the swim meets as timers because they know that we don't have enough people, or the people who show up to be volunteers to help out with the Live Strong program for cancer survivors, or the people who are like, hey, I can drive a bus and help with transportation for your after school program. I think it's really built on the foundation that we're all here for everybody, and you can feel it and you can see it, and it's unspoken, which is also kind of a beautiful thing. Is we don't have to use our words to say that we're here for each other. It's just, hey, like, I have a free hour today, do you need anything? Or, hey, it's one of my bus drivers just called out, any chance you could hop on and drive the bus run? And everybody's working together. There's a lot of teamwork and camaraderie, and not only as employees and as coworkers, but friends. Like, I can say that most of the people I work with are very good friends.
That does sound really beautiful and special and impactful on your community. I really enjoyed talking to you, Erin. I feel like the YMCA is an amazing place, and I want to go visit it the next time I'm in Maine.
Oh, you should. Yeah, I'll be here.
Is there anything else you would like to share before we sign off for the day?
I mean, I think the fun fact that I can share right now is I am looking at our swim team record board, and John Waldman's name is on here still from 1985. I think that's just really cool for this particular conversation we're having, is somebody who originated here from a small community who, you know, benefited from our Y and from our programs. And, you know, it might be different employees because that was 1985 and here we are in 2021. The message stays the same through the Y, and I love that. And we're always here. We're always cause driven. It's just a very cool way to circle back around for somebody who grew up in this community being as successful as he is, and very knowledgeable and very proactive in everything that he does, and very intentional in everything that he does. And I think it's just really cool to see that name on the board and just know that he came from here and knows people who are here in this community and visits and utilizes our facility sometimes for private lessons and coaching. And little fun fact.
Yeah, it really brings it back to our swim stories are so impactful in how we move forward in our lives and take swimming with us and still remember our origins. So thank you for sharing that fun fact.
Yeah, of course.
Alrighty, so we'll sign off for the day. Thank you so much, Erin.
Yeah, thank you. If you visit, come find me.
I will. Bye-bye, everyone.
All right, bye. Have a good one.